Today we're going to be thinking about what our person might be doing. So I've got a couple examples to show you. Here's someone juggling. Here is a person running. Here is someone playing football. As you're deciding what you want to do, you could have a realistic background like this or a more abstract background like you've seen in the other examples. Today as you're working, you're going to be building up your person using the ovals we did yesterday. And then after your person is drawn and they're in proportion, you'll be creating a line, like here you see a black line going around the ovals to decide where your cutting line is. If you know what you're drawing today, you could work directly on your colorful paper. If you look, I've got this yellow paper, but the drawing is on the white side. That's because when I cut this out, I don't want to see my pencil lines. I only want to see the beautiful yellow paper. Yesterday I did this sketch of a person on a skateboard, and I didn't put the skateboard on. And I think that would be something that I'd like to do. Now I know that when I go to cut this will be tricky because the hand is overlapping the body. So today when I draw it, I'm going to change this so that the body does not overlap with the arm. Here's my pack of paper, and when I open it up, these are the colors that I got. Everyone has a range of colors in light and dark shades. So the two pieces of paper that are larger are going to be your person and background color. So I have to decide, will my person be yellow or purple? And then my half sheets are what I'll use for my details, like the skateboard and other interesting things to add some excitement in my collage. So I spent some time looking at the paper that was in my packet, and I've decided that I'm going to use yellow for the background, purple for my person, and orange for the skateboard. And then I'll decide later what I'm going to do with this green. So to get started, I'm going to put this other paper aside, and I'm going to work on the back side of my purple paper. If you've already done some sketches, I would encourage you to have those handy. So I've got my sketch and I've got my reference. It could be that you used a picture to look at, so you should have that handy plus your sketch. Or maybe you have a sibling that's willing to pose for you. So when I'm drawing on this, I would like to draw as big as I can. And I'm thinking about, is my person 6 heads high? And I am also thinking about the fact that I'm cutting this out. So remember, I'm moving this arm so that I don't have to worry about overlapping this with the body. And I'm going to move this in and start thinking in terms of ovals now. Okay, so here we go. Plus I need a hand and a hand. Our goal for this lesson is to just have a silhouette. So we don't need to have lots of extra details. I have my basic size. I did use pretty much all of my paper. The legs are bent, so they didn't go all the way to the bottom of the page, but that's all right. And now I'm going to give myself a nice line for cutting. It could be that as you are drawing, like here, this arm looks really skinny compared to the body. So then when I go to draw, I'm going to make that arm just a little bit bigger. I'm going to make sure that you can tell there's a hand there. I could decide to put a thumb, or I could just kind of have a shape. There we go. I'm going to look and think about this before I cut it. Like right now I think this hand looks kind of small, so I'm going to make that just a little bit bigger. All right, and then I have to decide, does it make sense to not have a neck? Because in the drawing I was looking at before, if the chin is tucked like this, you really don't see the neck. And I think it's going to work out okay as a silhouette too. So there's the sketch for my person. Next, I'm going to think about the background shapes. So when I was making this, I was kind of thinking about a person dancing, and it's kind of a just supposed to be a smooth, fun drawing. very mellow. So when I made my background, I used curved lines. For my skateboarder, it might be kind of fun to do something with a little more energy. So for this, and I'm gonna move this so I don't end up drawing on that paper, you're gonna again draw on the white side. And for my smooth one, I just drew lines that went across the page from one side to the next and cut it out. I'm going to do something a little bit more exciting for the skateboarder. So I'm gonna do some lines that are more jagged, like this. I have my background cut out, and now I'm going to keep all of my scraps because I don't know if I need them. Don't crunch those up. And I'm going to start thinking about my layout on the large white piece of paper. So I kept my background pieces kind of in place, and then I can start thinking about how this might go together. So you can decide how much space you want between your background shapes. Could be that you spread them out a lot. I could go all the way to the side like this, or I could keep them closer together. If you decide you want this background paper a little smaller and you want to cut some off, you could, but I would encourage you to get a ruler and make a nice straight line so that you were cutting off a straight piece. I am going to just expand this like that. And then I need to get that skateboard. So this is the tricky part about collage. When you are adding a piece, I need the skateboard to face the same way that my person is. Now, do you notice that my person is facing a different direction? As my sketch actually goes like this. But then when I look at the colorful side, it is going the other way. So my skateboard is going to be going this way. I can't draw on the orange paper because it will show up. So what I need to do is flip the whole thing back to the white side, and I can continue to look at my collage. And I need my skateboard to go like this. I want it to fit on both of my feet. So let me just go back and look at this again. Okay. So I'm going to angle this. The way that I want it, and I can see the wheels. There we go. And when I move this, I can continue that line. So now I'm going to cut this out and put it together. Okay, I flipped my paper back over, and I'm just trying to decide where do I want my person to stand in relation to the background. So I will just kind of tweak this. Now each day you should be spending about an hour on your art. So my guess is that if you've done this much, your person, maybe one detail and a background, once you glue this down, you'll be at your 1 hour mark for art. So we'll probably stop here for the day. You'll want to glue this down if you're happy with where it is. And then tomorrow we're going to look at the scraps we have left, and we're going to add some details to make this a little bit more exciting, because right now we just have the 3 colors, and it's really cool to have at least 4 colors and maybe a few more things going on when you're dealing with collage. I want to talk just a little bit about gluing. So some of the pieces are overlapped, and those are going to be a little trickier to glue. So I'm going to glue this one first, and you always want to glue the small piece of paper. So I'm putting glue on the back side of the yellow paper. What I'm not doing is taking my glue and rubbing all over the white paper, because I don't know what the exact size of this piece of paper was. So So then I will carefully put this one down. So you're gonna pick up each piece and glue them down. So for me, it's helpful, I want that to be straight. So I think I can put this down again while the glue, there we go. That looks a little straighter. And since I peeled it back up, I might need to just touch the corners. So the trick is gonna be that I wanna put all the yellow pieces down before I glue the person. So I'm gonna move this just slightly to this side, and then that way I can glue the back down before I glue the person. I have my back glued down, and so now I'm just looking at where do I want to place my person. And I'm noticing like these bumps that kind of look like stairs and wondering, does it make more sense to put this up high or right where that white part is? And then I would encourage you to even flip your paper over and see what it looks like this way, because now I'm noticing that this looks more like a ramp at a skate park, and I kind of like that look. And then I'm also just kind of paying attention to how much of the yellow is showing. Does it make more sense to have that line up there? Do I like the yellow behind the shoulder? Because we don't want to have just like a tiny little bit of something sticking out. Sometimes it's better to see a whole shape. So really look at it before you glue this down. I've decided I like the person right here, and then what I did is I just tacked this down a little bit. So I put a little glue under the skateboard, I put a little glue under the head, so most of it is still open. So then tomorrow, if I decide that I would like to use some scraps that I might want to go underneath my person, I still have that option. So you might not want to glue everything down, even if you figured out where it was, and then put your collage in a safe spot, because tomorrow we're going to add a little pizzazz.